Hello, Panther Nation, and welcome into FIUsports.com. Brian Duvall alongside our very own Pete Pelegrin as we're counting down and getting you ready for the September 1 home opener against Indiana. And Pete, first of all, let's talk about the top three things that the fans need to know about this year's team.
Well, I think the number one thing is you have the entire offense back. You have Janu Smith, who's healthy again, to complement Thomas Owens, and then we'll talk a little bit later about the receiving depth they have there. So that helps because you have some unknowns on defense, you know, how that defensive line and the new defensive backs are going to react. The second thing, I think, is having all the linebackers back. Remember, last year, two of the three starters missed most of the year in Coleman and Williams. They're back healthy to complement Anthony Wint, and there's some depth there as well. And the third thing I think that you need to look forward to this season is some of these newcomers that they may see significant action, that even though they're freshmen, they've shown a little bit of what they can do in this camp.
Coach Turner talked about throughout camp about how impressed he is with some of the newcomers. Who are some of the names that the fans might need to become familiar with?
Well, I think offensively you have a good core of talented young receivers, guys like Darius Scott, who came from Booker T. You have Stanley Thomas, who is the prototypical, physically at least when you look at a receiver, 6'2", strong, can go up and get it. Tony Gator is not the biggest of guys, but he's got a nose for the football, can get in the openings and really makes things happen. And then defensively, I think you have some of the secondary, some of the young guys in the secondary, like Emmanuel Lubin, who was here before, but now is going to be thrust and probably into a starting role. He's going to be helped out by Isaiah Brown, who's new, and another JUCO transfer in Kyrie Reeser, who has some NFL bloodlines. His brother plays for the San Francisco 49ers. I think that those two position groups are some of the young guys that you need to keep an eye out for.
What is the deepest position group right now, and what is the most talented one?
Well, most talented right off the bat, I mean, you have to say are the linebackers. I mean, you have three possible all-conference guys. I know that Coleman and Williams didn't get the preseason nod like Wint did, but that's probably because they didn't play most of last year. But I think those three guys are probably the most, that position group is the most talented, because you can't forget also about Vontarius West, who made tremendous strides last year, moving from secondary over to linebacker. And for really a position he'd never played before, you think the guy had played before that position in high school. And then the other guy you got to think about is also that they just moved in camp. Isaiah Hill, who started camp as a safety, is now working with the linebackers. He reminds me a lot of Jonathan Cyprian, who's now with the Jacksonville Jaguars, played here, is the all-time leading tackler at FIU. Pretty much the same build, you know, got to get a little bit more muscle, but tall guy, rangy guy that can play linebacker, I think. That's probably why they made the move, but it also plays safety if they need him back there as well.
As the Panthers are about to wind up training camp right behind us, don't forget to stay tuned to FIUsports.com for all the latest on your Panthers. For Pete Pelegrin, I'm Brian Duvall, and we'll talk to you next time right here on FIUsports.com.